Here we go. We're live. We're on air. And my name is Brian James, and I got my partner in crime, Tony Cohen, the real Tony Cohen. And you can already see the title of this thing is it's really focused on goal setting and making your 2016 10 times better than your 2015. Doesn't matter if 2015 sucked. Our goal is to make it 10 times better in 2016. Or the flip side, if your 2015 was fantastic, it can still be 10 times better. So I'm sitting here, crazy story. I am currently sitting here in Anchorage, Alaska, all bundled up. Well, actually, the last couple of days have been a little mild, but all bundled up. And I got Tony sitting in sunny San Diego. And it's crazy because last year this time, I was in sunny San Diego, and Tony was all bundled up in New York City, where he's been residing for the last, I don't even know how long, but
5 years. 5 years.
5 years. And here's what's crazy. It all started with a road trip on the West Coast, and literally it just kind of dropped Tony off, and he found his way back down to the sunshine because that was one of the stops we made that he liked the best. And he just went back there, and that's where he's been residing since. So I don't know if he's ever going to leave. I told him this. I said, you be prepared when you come to the West Coast, because when you come, you're not going to want to leave. And I think he finally believes me now. So
I said, no, I'll be back in New York in a few months. And now I get phone calls. I'm on the beach. When are you coming back to New York? I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. So, and my ultimate goal is I still have an RV down there. So my goal is to eventually get the schedule set up to where I can spend, once my wife's obligations are done, where I can spend my summer times in Alaska and my winter times in San Diego. It's going to be perfect. So that's actually, Tony, that's one of my goals. I'm going to be writing that down here shortly. But one thing that I just want to say is there's a reason why we're recording this training at my time is 7:57 p.m. Alaska time. Tony's currently sitting at 8:57 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is still December 30th, 2015. So what that means is that by the time you watch this, even if you were to watch this immediately following, you'd still have a day and a change left in 2015. I recorded a video a couple hours ago just talking about how the best way to get 2016 started is to start it with momentum. And how you start that with momentum is the best thing you can do. Even if you haven't done anything the last 364 days, you still have one day left that you can make a commitment to getting momentum. And you can do that by just taking action by setting up your 2016 and 2015. That's enough to get you psychologically started and some momentum created. Why? Because momentum is the most powerful thing you can experience in your life, and you're going to need it to fulfill a lot of the goals that you are going to want to set up here for your 2016. So the point of this training is we're doing this training specifically for our business and our organization, but it's not limited to that. Why? Because we're not going to talk about anything necessarily specific as it relates to our business. We're going to be talking about goal setting. Why? Because success is universal. Goal setting and the principles behind it are universal. Doesn't matter if you're a traditional business owner, if you're an employee, if you're anything in between. All these principles still apply, and the exercises that Tony's going to do here in a little bit are going to apply to you. So real quick, I want to let you know that for me, how goal setting started, I thought that goal setting, when I got to a certain part, a certain point, I thought goal setting was kind of hocus pocus. I thought what those motivational guys tried to get you to do to buy their stuff and be successful and blah, blah, blah. I didn't believe it. And that was my first problem. I wasn't open to it. But my belief in goal setting was sparked when I read a book that talked about the power of setting goals. And it was the first time, actually, the book I was reading was The Magic of Thinking Big, and then that led me to another book and another book, and they kept talking about setting goals. And I said, there's a pattern that started to be created here. And then I was started to be introduced to different people in my life, coaches, mentors, people that were in life where I wanted to be. And all of them had one thing in common. And that is that it's the way they thought, the books they read, and how they set goals, and how goal setting was literally at the top of their priority list. And I just took it a little step at a time, and it went from being hocus pocus to set my first goal. Now, my commitment and my action behind setting those goals was like nothing. It was, I'd set goal. I went from setting goals on January 1st to moving into setting goals just every time I went to an event or something and got motivated. So probably averaged out that I was setting goals maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And it was just something that I did when it was convenient. And then that moved into, I'd say about 4 years ago, when I had someone come into my life that Tony and I actually got a lot of our training from when it comes to goal setting, sales, and leadership, and that's Tim Mulcahy. I saw a man that I, for once, had access to somebody that was incredibly successful in business, very successful in life. And I saw this man not just get on a stage or jump on a call that, had an ulterior motive, but literally I saw this man set goals. Every Monday I came to his house, if I came to his house on a Monday morning, whether it was pick him up to go golfing or do whatever, I would be delayed because I'd see the man writing out his goals, and I'd go back to his computer in his study, and I'd see his goals written out, literally written out right beside his keyboard. And I said, man, there's something to this. And I had been introduced to other successful people in my life, and they all had this one thing in common. And it's that goal setting was not just something that they taught and preached about because there was an ulterior motive behind a business that they owned or whatever. But literally, I saw their personal goals and the things they were trying to accomplish when it came to their family and their personal life and all these things. And I just said, hey, screw this. I'm going to 100% commit to setting my goals and see what happens. And the last 2 years of my life have changed so dramatically when I became goal setting just didn't become something that I did and it was something that was optional in my life. It's non-negotiable now. Like there's a ritual and a routine that I now follow, and it's even incorporated in my life. My wife knows that we set goals. Like we've spent the last week setting our goals for 2016. Why? Because we realized that everything we were able to accomplish in 2015 were all fed by the roadmap, which was our goals that were set last year. And we had one of the best years we've ever had in our life. And it's only got better as I've set my goals and incrementally increased my goals. And they all started with just me setting really realistic goals. And one thing I realized, and I think there's a lot of people that can relate to this, is that if you're like me, somebody that I consider myself a winner, man, I'm a winner, I'm a performer. I'm gonna win no matter what. Now the problem is you'll always reach a ceiling to where you keep bumping your head and you can't get through that ceiling no matter how much action you take. And it's because you haven't set a clear enough roadmap to help you get past that ceiling. And that ceiling for me was my goals. I was not mentally strong enough and I wasn't mentally prepared enough to be able to break through those barriers and those ceilings because I wasn't committed to the goals I was setting. I was just going out and basically throwing everything up against the wall, and whatever stuck. The problem is I wanted everything to stick, and I wanted to not have to re-stick it once it fell down. I wanted to build on top of my success in each area of my life. And that's something that's just incredibly important. So I want you to think about when you're setting your goals, help you understand that it doesn't matter if you're coming from a place where you've never set goals before and this is the first time. Tony's going to give you some simple exercises and steps that you can take to incrementally set these realistic goals and work your way up from there. Or if you're somebody, because you've got guys, I've taught goal setting now to a couple different multi-million-dollar organizations that have had me come in and teach goal setting. It's been so impactful in my life that it's something that I've literally been able to go out and I've been able to consult and teach and coach this. And the first thing when we get into leadership training, if you look at my agenda for teaching leadership, the top thing on leadership is goal setting. If you're not willing to be a goal setter, you're never going to be a leader, never going to be a real impactful leader. And that's something that's incredibly important. So I guess I got to say, are we qualified to teach on this? I know me personally, the only thing I'm really doing, I'm not teaching from this. I'm not charging anybody for this. This is free. But I'm just sharing with you what happened to me in my life, how I was skeptical of goal setting, how I decided to start goal setting, and how I sold out to goal setting, and how it's taken my lifestyle from here to here, actually from here to here. And it's changed everything about my life to where now I can't, it's like oxygen. I got to have it in order to live. And that's how important I truly think goal setting is. And to know that even if you're somebody that's incredibly successful, like Tony's going to take, I've seen, or not seen, but I've heard through the history books of the Tim Mulcahy history books, this, Tony is qualified to talk to people and teach them and help them goal set, people that make multiple millions of dollars. So if we're talking about financially, and I don't want you to misunderstand this and take this out of context, because no, you're going to find out that financial is literally just one of these pillars when it comes to your goal setting. But if you're somebody that's saying, I'm watching this because I want to take my finance to the next level, you got somebody like Tony Cohen that has made multiple millions of dollars, and can teach you that path from a financial standpoint. When we talk about relationally, my marriage is currently, I would rate it as a major success. Haven't been married for a long time, but the time I've been married has been amazing. And I will tell you that I contribute a lot of our success to multiple factors. And one of those main factors being goal setting. Literally, my marriage functions around goal setting. And when it does, you'd be surprised at how successful it can be. So
can I just interject?
Please, Tony.
While you're on that subject, I was talking with someone the other day, and marriage is not something I talk about a lot with anyone, having never tried it. However, I actually mentioned this to someone the other day about you and Olivia. I said, whatever these guys have got going on, I have never seen a couple as in love that are having as much fun in life. And it was just like, dude, I don't know. Listen, I'm going to shut you up because I want to take over the show.
Are you? Hey, dude, go ahead. I know you're going to incorporate this, because I was literally going to turn it over with a really stupid story, but I got to do it real quick. I got to do, because you said, it's got to be about the story. So here's my, and look who showed back up. Tone, look who showed back up. She can't stay away from me. You see this?
Olivia looks different on camera.
That's my other girl. That's my other deal. That's Luna. But real quick, and the reason I give this is because when you're done, it's like, that is the dumbest story that I've ever heard. But I want you to think about this as you go through everything that Tony talks about. And that's, I want you to imagine that, that you got the family together. It could be any trip that you want to take. And you decide, like Tony and I, it's a perfect example, because Tony and I just went on a road trip. And when we started this road trip, it wasn't Tony and I just jumping in a car and saying, hey, we didn't just start driving in a direction. Literally, we had to have a goal of where we wanted to get to. And, that was the whole reason we took this road trip. And we had to be in certain states, in certain cities at certain times, because we had made a commitment to people that we were going to be there at that time. And I just want you to help you understand how ridiculous this is. And I just say you're going to take a vacation with your family, and you've already invested the money to go, and you have a specific game plan. You got a goal of when you need to get there, and when you need to check into your hotel, and when all the cool activities that you planned are going to be. And how crazy would it be if you were going to take this road trip like Tony and I were, and we knew that in 7 days we needed to be at this one spot? And imagine that when we were going through goal setting, because understand that the biggest thing that takes people off track when it comes to their goals is they don't think that life's going to happen at pop-ups. Goal setting ain't going to go perfect, just so you understand. But when it comes to hitting your goals, we knew that we set a goal. We had to be in a certain place, and it didn't matter what happened, because we did have certain things happen And while one day I planned on driving 8 hours to get to a certain location, we had a light come on in my vehicle that said I needed to check the engine. I was not planning on that damn light coming on. So what had to happen is we were off track by 2 hours, and that took us off our goal. So guess what had to happen? I had to make a commitment that I was going to make up time, and I was going to do whatever it took to ultimately reach that goal that we had set. So I just have to preface that. I usually, in my trainings and when I do this in the academy that I had done, that I'd ran for the last 6 months for actually Tim's brother Brennan, I give this real stupid example of a family taking a vacation from California to Florida to go to Disney World, and all the things that happened along the way when this family was just planning on going, and they were stopping and meeting people. And bottom line is, what it came down to is the family didn't prep properly, and they weren't willing to make up on things that needed to be done in order to get to their goals. And they ended up vacationing in Alabama. And I said, and it became this thing that all the offices put in their office, was this big thing that said, nobody wants to vacation in Alabama. And it was funny because my counterpart, who was another trainer with me, that's where he was born and raised, in Alabama. And I just made fun of the fact that there's nothing fun happening in nowhere, Alabama. And that's not where you want to vacation. You want to vacation in Disney World. And that's the link, that if you're going to, and I know it's stupid, and somebody says that's the dumbest example I ever heard, but I see it happen all the time. I see goal setting taken off track and never revisited again because people aren't prepped to make up the things that need to be done in order to reach their goals. So hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, then Tony will clean it up, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, if you had a goal for like banjo lessons, buddy, you'd want to be in Alabama. No?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a whole group of states you don't really necessarily, areas you don't want to vacation in.
Maybe we should do another video on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole other video.
You know, it's funny actually. So there's a couple of things there. If you remember that trip, I mean, we had to be certain places. One we didn't have to be in was Yuma. But if you remember, leaving Tempe, I said, we have to be in Yuma at 3:10 so we can take a picture. I mean, just a stupid thing to do, just so I can say I was in 3:10 in Yuma. Like, stupid goals. But you know,
to the point where Tony would not let me take a bathroom break because we had to be in Yuma by 3:10. So literally, when I say you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to hit your goals, that was the whole point of my story. Then you have to do whatever it takes. In this case, almost exploding, my bladder almost exploding because Tony Cohen had decided to create a mutual goal for him. That wasn't my damn goal. But when you have a guy that's with you and he's kidding, he even convinced me. His goal was so contagious that it rubbed off to me, where I was literally willing to ruin my freaking, either number one, my bladder, or number two, the pants I was wearing, to reach his damn goal. So you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Stupid goals, buddy.
Stupid goals. It was good. Good food, though, man. Good food. And so, yeah, incidentally, I was with Tim today, as you know. And, you know, my goal setting started. I'm not going to ramble on that, so I'm going to get straight to the point. Mine started the same with you. I didn't believe it. I thought it was all nonsense. And, you know, my goals are in my head. No, they're wishes. No, well, I do it different. No, you don't. That's how you do it. But I do want to touch on something here before we start. We talk about goals, but there's different levels. There's wishes, there's wants, there's goals, there's intentions. And the difference is the level of action you take. So a wish is just a wish. A want is, I could pick up, I got these the other day, San Diego Home and Garden. So a want is I could browse through this, do nothing about it. A goal would be, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put, I want this thing, so I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper. An intention is I go and physically sit in the couch, go and walk around the home. And I'll tell you right now, I put a post on this time last year. I was in a bad place. You know, without going into details, you know, in life, crap happens. You know, it just does. And I took a massive hit. And I was sat in a tiny, not even an apartment. You know, it's like shared bathroom, shared shower, literally rented a room in the back of a house, Spanish Harlem, New York City, which is, you know, you're still in New York City, But it's still $1,000 a month for something that would just fit a single bed and a chair and a fridge in. That was it. And no sunlight. You know, there's a window, but there's no natural light, and it was affecting me. And, you know, over the years, I've trained and worked with way over 100,000 people. And yeah, I've made X amount of dollars and blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm not going to go into that. The stories are out there. I've also spent a lot of that, by the way. That I can show you what to do, definitely. Actually, I've curbed that. I have curbed that. And, you know, I'm sat there and not feeling sorry for myself. You know, that stuff doesn't happen anymore. I'm not making an excuse out of this. I just drew a line and said, right, I'm not spending winter in New York. You know, I've just done, I instruct, as you know, I instruct Krav Maga. I've just done a course that kind of didn't fall to bits, but not everyone was supposed to be on it. That the paid deposits showed up, and I didn't end up making what I thought I was doing. So I'm sat there with not a lot of cash in my pocket. A business I was in, the owner had just died suddenly of a heart attack, all kinds of crap. And I'm just like, instead of going into the pity party thing, I just revert to what I know. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't matter what time of year it is. And, you know, working with Tim very, very closely for years, I know, you know, we'd sit down every Monday, and we worked with a guy called Mark Silver, and Mark walked around all day long with a clipboard, and, you know, and he just walked around with his clipboard writing, and one day I just said, Mark, you're driving me mad with his spying on everyone's stuff. What's going on? He said, what do you mean? I said, the notes in the clipboard. He said, oh, it's just my goal sheets. And he had pages and pages, and that's all he would do. And Mark was, you know, another dropout billionaire, self-made. And he would show me, he said, well, on Saturday, I'm going for dinner with my wife at 6 o'clock. I said, well, how was that a goal? He said, because I committed to my wife, I'm going for dinner at 6 o'clock. And unless I commit to it and put it down, something else will pop up and I'll get distracted. So, and I've worked with, you know, some wonderful people, as well as the, you know, the regular, you know, your Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglars and all these. I've worked with some guys where I've seen it like yourself, from practical, sat there with them, brainstorming with them. You know, Tim and I were been in various businesses, and we had to plan stuff out to make it work. Did it always run smoothly? No, it never ran smoothly. Never. So this time last year, I'm sat there. I've had enough of New York winners. That's it. I'm out. This time next year, beginning of December, I'm just out. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. I'm going to the sunshine. And, you know, I didn't know how. At the time, I didn't even have an income. I'd just done a course. I'd made some money, paid a month's rent and what was left. And, you know, I took a financial hit and couldn't get it back. And, you know, it wasn't like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It was, this is what I'm going to do. I had no plan. I didn't have a business. I didn't have an income. I didn't have anything. I had no clue what I was going to do. You know, we've always, you know, we worked in the past a few years ago. We've always remained in touch. And, you know, you'd throw a few ideas at me and I'd tell you they were garbage, and I'd throw some at you and you'd tell me mine were worse. But we'd still stay in touch, you know. And sometimes they're great ideas, but they're not a fit. You know, I'm averse. I have a phobia with technology. So anything that's like one of these online funnily thingy things ends up with me throwing something out of a window. I have no issue. You know, Mike in England will say, you said before about forwarding something, just forward it. I'll give it to Mike. He can do it. Why can't you do it? Well, Mike told me it takes him 6 hours to explain something to me, or 2 seconds to do it. So he's not explaining anything to me ever again about computers. So fine, I don't need to learn that. So yeah, I was with Tim today, but I remember, you know, 25 years ago, we're in Toronto. We're both in our 20s. And he always said, yeah, I'm going to move to California. Always said it. I'm going to move to Southern California. You know, when he was 22, 23, maybe 25 years old, I'm going to be never in doubt. So, you know, and then as things happen, Tim and I always lived close together, worked close together. You know, over the last few years, we kind of drifted apart. I've been in New York. He's been down here. When he was in New York, I'd see him. And then I find myself living 20 minutes away from him. 20 minutes walk. So I messaged him today. You know, he's a busy guy. I'm not. But he's a busy guy. And I said, you know what? I'm coming up to La Jolla today. Can we meet? I want to pick your brains on something non-business related, and I could just do with some life advice. And you know, I've got a lot of advice from him, but it's over the years. I've seen what it's done for him, and I've seen what it's done for so many people. But what I want to touch on today is what can I do? What can you do today? So I'm not going to do any advanced stuff here, you know, because then we're going to start getting into timelines and things like that. I'm going to do a real sort of layman's guide to intentions today. So
And Tony, we already talked about we can do a part 2 and 3 and 4 based on, you know, feedback and all that good stuff. So
it's not a we can, Brian, it's we are. Put
yeah,
it in your intention.
We are.
You're the man in charge of the computer, not me. We are. But this is something people can do today to take it in place. So you've got a marker pen there, Brian?
I sure do.
Yep. Right, if you're watching this on a recording, just stop the tape for 1 second, grab yourself a marker pen and some paper. If you're watching it live, it's going to be on a recording anyway. So, the challenge with goals when I first started it was I thought everything was material and financial. And if money is your goal, you're never going to hit your goal. You can have $20 million in the bank today, which in your case would be about half what you've already got in there. No.
But, well, here's what's funny. Is the reason I said too, because a lot of people are going to jump on this thing thinking that everything we're talking about, I love it because they're going to think of everything we're talking about is financial based. And honestly, once that's the least. It's the least.
I will show you something. I'm going to have to put my hand over a few things here to protect someone. I will show you something, but the bottom things here, financial, business, career, all at the bottom.
And no Badals, right? You're going to protect somebody. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just some names I'm taking off here.
Oh, different video. Other. Okay. I thought there were pictures, so okay, good.
No, those are on. I sent them to your phone, man. It's the Tony in the pink thong, man. I sent it to your phone. So there's 10 different areas. There's more, but we're going to work on 10. If you're looking at this for the first time and I give you 50 different areas to work on, you're going to work on none of them. So right now, what I'm going to do is break them down and then break a timeline down. So on the top of your paper, actually, you know, all I need to do is this. All I need to do is this. Just need to hide some names.
To protect the innocent.
Protect the, yes, absolutely. So on the top, you're going to write emotional. You're just going to write a list down the left-hand side. At the top, on the bar, you're going to write 90-day on the top there and list. So we're going to start these one at a time. So what is an emotional goal? An emotional goal is exactly as it says. Now, you should be emotionally connected to all your goals for them to work. If it's, I want a big house, there's no emotional connection there. If, oh, wow, I went in Tim's house and that drop pool and a plunge pool and the outside room with the big TV, I want that house. There's an emotion there. But emotional is purely on a relationship level. So, you know, we have emotional goals with people, with animals, with ourselves. So one of the emotional goals that I battled with for years is I never kind of felt worthy. I was like the, you know, I didn't grow up with any money. I was like the, what's that team? The NBA team, is it the Eagles? Is that what they're called?
Bro, it's the NFL, National Football League.
Same thing, man. Same thing. Close enough. So, but, you know, I was like, you know, the pro NFL guy that just got the contract and all of a sudden got $10 million. And they just can't spend it fast enough. I was one of those guys. And that was self-worth because I grew up with nothing. I didn't think I was ever going to really get anything, although I always wanted something. And when I did, I couldn't spend it fast enough. And, you know, there's a saying, it's just burning a hole in your pocket. You got to get rid of it. So one thing I battle with over the years is that, you know, And that for me was an emotional goal. And it took making it and losing it and making it and taking a big hit and making it and losing it all again to realize, you know, most of that stuff I became emotionally attached to for me was just crap. You know my thing, Brian, is like the Neil Macaulay. In fact, that road trip, we got it down to packing in 5 minutes. And it was funny, like if you can't pack your belongings up, you know, me, it's my entire life belongings in 15 minutes and move. I just got too much stuff. So, you know,
And Tony, I'll tell you, you and I relate on that, because when I freed myself from these possessions that I thought I was creating self-worth by accumulating, it's one of the most freeing things I've ever done in my life. Like, and I am totally content now, which I used to not be. I would hold on to these things, but I'm totally content now. If you did come here and say, bro, the heat's on, we got to be out here in 10 minutes, I literally would be I'd have all things in the world if I grabbed that one bag, my wife, and we were gone. So it's
working with me, Brian, there's always a slim chance that may happen.
There is definitely a
I don't know if you heard the story the other day where I was in bed and the SWAT team came through the door. And you know, just stood there going like, what? You know, that was funny. That wasn't one of my goals, but I tell you, it was funny. And it's anyway. So emotional is something, you know, it's relationship based. So if you've got and we're talking specifically 90-day goals to start with. So in your case, and I don't need you to just sort of think of something right. I'm going to give an answer right now that sounds good, because one of the things we do, and like you were saying, these things we get attached to, these material things, most of it is to appease other people. We buy crap we don't need to impress people we don't like. You know, once I'm mindful of my language here, but once you don't care anymore about what other people think of you, it's kind of just such a relief. I mean, the Jeep is great. I love it, and I get it. But there's other people who say, well, you know, why would you spend that much money on a Jeep? Why don't you buy a blah, 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 convertible Mercedes or whatever? I don't know anymore. And, you know, a lot of that stuff, I did it. I had the Ferraris and the Bentleys and and it was all BS to impress other people. That's what it was. And, you know, once you get that out of your system, you start to, you really value relationships and things like that. And I'm not, you know, in certain levels of relationships, friendships, business-wise, yeah, you know, like Tim, 30 years almost. Walk in a room, not seen him for a year, whatever, wouldn't matter. It's still exactly the same. You know, I've close bonds with some people, not with a lot. On the, you know, the relationship with the, let's say the married, how long have you guys been married now? Is it about 2 years?
2.5.
Okay, I'm sure wifey will know the exact date and time, but okay, 2.5. So, you know, with a goal on that, that's an emotional goal, you know, of someone that says, you know, we're going to get married, or we're going to move in together, or we're going to do this, that, and the other. And you basically, then your goal is aligned with the person you're spending time with. So this is important if you're watching this, guys. If you've got, I remember with Tim, would have his kids at 5, 6, and 7 doing goals. I don't know if you ever told you this, doing goals, and they would be on the fridge door. So you go in the house and you see his 5-year-old daughter's goals on the fridge door. You know, so if you've got a family, kids, you know, I got a son in the UK, and I, you know, pretty much call him every day. You know, one of, you know, his goal is, you know, he started boxing and he's been partying over the New Year's and things like that, and Christmas. I mean, it's just fine, you know. But like, when are you going? What day are you starting back in the gym? And he just said, well, I'm going to start back the next Wednesday. Okay. That's it. That's the commitment. Simple things, emotional goals could be, you know, if you're away from your partner, to call every day. Something like that is an emotional goal. It's to do with your relationships, but specifically family relationships. But the important thing with that is the person you've got the relationship with also has to be working on the same. They don't have to have the same goals, but working on the same kind of program, and then you'll find that, you know, things will align. So that's an emotional goal. The next thing is a spiritual goal. Now, you know, you and I, without going into details, obviously differ radically on that.
It's just a period of time.
On the types, I should say, not on having them, but on the types of spiritual goals.
Yeah, no doubt.
Consequently, in that whole trip, we never spoke about that stuff.
Maybe a couple times.
Okay, so you try to convert me to Jesus and the NFL on the same day. That didn't work. Again, you didn't want to do any pole dancing, so, you know, trade-off. But, you know, Christmas Day, I don't celebrate Christmas. However, Christmas Day, I spent a lot of time here on Ghana with the homeless. I mean, you know, not for any reason. I wanted to know the story. It's something that I feel close to. I usually volunteer at a homeless shelter in New York for the last few years, all the holidays. I'm not a lover of holidays in general, be it religious, organized, bank holidays. They're never a good time for me. You know, the week before Christmas is not a good time for me. I lost my mother and my father and my grandfather all that week, all on different years. It's not a good time for me, and it's just not, for me, it isn't. So when that happens, my spiritual thing, and I don't mind sharing this, is when I get in those places, I go and find someone worse off than myself. Now, you know, I can't get, the thing with these intentions, you can't give someone yours, because that's when it starts going wrong. When people say you should go to, I don't want to do this on the spiritual one, but you should get, or like parents telling their kids, you should be married by 25 and have 2 kids at 27. Like, forcing your goals or your beliefs on someone else in any way, shape, or form is never going to work. I mean, I dropped out of school at 15 because my dad wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. So my dad was trying to force what he wanted for me on me. So with a spiritual thing, you know, when I do mine, so mine is the 90-day spiritual volunteer at a homeless kitchen. Why? I trained to be a chef. I can do it. That's a fit for me, and it's something I kind of feel good about. So spiritual is between you and whatever your belief system is. There's no right or wrong. We're not going to go into it here. You know, there's people that believe, people that don't believe, people that believe in this religion, people that believe in this way of living, people that would go up in the mountains and meditate, and people that will go to a house of prayer. So it's whatever your own personal thing is. And then your goal is what that level of commitment is. And I know you do some volunteering at the local church, is it?
Oh, no, I'm fully integrated. I took my spiritual goals and I started them for 2016. I started them a lot earlier this year, and I joined a group of men that we do a systematic theology class and do some prayer groups and do some other things. So for me, I can't stand religion, but the spiritual, I'm very, very, very spiritual person, and I take times out of my day, and there's certain routines that I have committed to take that to a 10 times better level for me this year. And it's been growing, and I've seen 100% the changes and the increases in my life that have just, it's what my wife, our spiritual is really our number one goal, and that's what feeds the rest of our goals. So that's just my personal alignment on our goals. So
I'm just gonna nip that in the bud very quickly, and you just nailed something we've been talking about. You and your wife, your goals are aligned, your intentions are aligned. So this goes back to that first one of you doing these things with the person you spend the most time with. I'm going to move on for that before we go down that rabbit hole. The next thing, social goals. Social goals, very straightforward. Just straight fun. What am I going to do for fun? Now, if your social goal is, I've worked 9 to 5 all week and I'm going to go out on Saturday night, that's pretty lame. It's hardly a goal. Social goals could be things like vacations. I'm going to take the kids to Disneyland in April, whatever it may be, but strictly for fun. But some of that is, you know, I'm going to learn salsa dancing. I'm going to learn how to scuba. I'm going to do. Even though they're mental learning goals, there's no ulterior. I'm not learning to scuba to be a scuba instructor. I'm learning because I just want to have fun. So social goals are very specific. What are you going to do in the next 90 days as a social goal? So mine just says road trip. And, you know, I don't plan much. We were sat in a coffee shop in Seattle. You were going to Alaska, and you said, where are you going now? And I don't know. I don't even have a ticket. I've got a bag, and I don't really.
Tony, you just were talking about not forcing your goals on someone else, and I just already have the feeling, and I'm getting this sense that this road trip goal of yours is about to be influenced. I'm about to be persuaded.
No, I'm not going to force it upon you. You're going to love it. That's all I'm going to say, man.
The man whose goal is to road trip and he doesn't even drive. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Come on. They were supposed to be transparent and authentic on this training.
All right, okay. So I'm going on a road trip in the next 90 days. Okay, I'm just seeking a drive, but we'll be fine. Yeah. I know where there's an RV. Anyway, so next one. So social. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, joking aside, we already spoke about this anyway. We're off to Vegas next month. So you know that's a week. But you know, who knows where it could end? I mean, the last one was a blast. Family. I'm not seeing my son. I mean, some of you might find this a bit odd. I've got a 17-year-old son in the UK, and we speak pretty much every day. And you know, if he hasn't sold his latest iPhone because he's a bit of an entrepreneur, if he hasn't sold it, we FaceTime. But then sometimes I can't FaceTime him because he got a better deal for the phone than he paid for it, and he sold it. That's kind of how he is. But we talk all the time. I've not seen him 4 years, and it's, you know, it's tough. I deal with it, and he deals with it, and it's not always easy. So I made a commitment to meet him in Vegas. The downside of that is I got a message from him today, said I managed to get some fake ID, so we're good to go. Oh, excellent. So the next one. So family is specifically that, you know, 90-day goal for your family. It could be, you know, everyone's got a different story with this one. I'm not going to go on it. But it could be, you know, for example, kids not got good grades in school, and it's down to energy levels, or kids not got good grades in school because he gets distracted. Kids not got good grades in school because he's bored out of his brains. You know, for example, or you know, family. You have a daughter, and she'd like to, not you wanted to. She'd like to take ballet lessons, or you know, you've got a 10-year-old girl that's on the soccer team, and you wanted to, you know, I'm going to get her extra coaching so she gets at a different level. Or you know, family goals is I'm going to take my wife out for dinner. I'm going to take Brian's wife out for dinner next week because I don't have one. She's not listening, is she?
She'd like, hey, she'd take you up on that offer.
Oh dear, there goes San Diego, man. But yeah, specifically family, but short term, 90 days. So what can you do now? And the reason for this 90-day thing, I was talking to someone today about a 5-year plan. Screw that. Screw that. Why? I will change my mind 100 times a year, let alone 5 years. Where am I going to be in 5 years? I don't even know where I'm going to be in March. Geographically, I kind of do, actually. I'm kind of thinking I'm stuck here by choice. But, you know, in 5 years, could I say, yeah, I'm going to be living in San Diego? No, not at all. You know, I don't know. 5 years, I might be doing something completely different in my life. You know, different hobbies, different interests. So we start with 90 days, and the 90-day ones are things you can take action on today. If I've got a 5-year plan to stick 100 million into a real estate fund, what can I do about that today? Nothing that's going to have a lot of impact. I might, you know, be able to find some paperwork and fill it out. If I've got a 90-day plan to put a deposit down on property, today I can go and look at properties. I can't look at properties that are 5 years away. They don't even exist. So we do 90-day. The physical one, which is next, we've done emotional. You're writing this down: emotional, spiritual, social, family, physical. So the goals are always of a positive. These goals are, an example of this I'm going to use on physical is a negative would be, I'm not going to be ill this year. Well, our subconscious mind doesn't understand the word not or don't or can't. So when you tell yourself something in a negative, it relaxes to your conscious. Your conscious will hear, I'm going to be ill this year. It won't pick up on the word not. So everything's wrote in a positive. So on my physical goal, I wrote 30-day challenge. And as you know, and many people watching this may know, you and I and Tony Freeman and a bunch of us have put together a 30-day physical challenge. Easy one, anyone can do it. And it wasn't for us, because I know that challenge is nothing for you to do, you know, for, what was it, air squats, chair dips, push-ups, and planks. You go to the gym. I mean, for me, it's not a lot for me. I'll be bored to death with it. However, I'm going to do it. It's for anyone to do. So that was developed for anybody, and it's free, anybody to learn how to get in shape without having an excuse of, I don't have time to go to the gym, or I'm not going on a diet, or I'm not doing, or I can't do this, and blah, 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 blah. Right, you've got 5 minutes a day. I did it the other day in 3 minutes, all 4 exercises on a street outside a coffee shop. So the physical one for me is the 30-day challenge. I'm not someone that weighs myself. I'm not someone that measures myself. You know, my way of knowing if I'm getting in good shape is if my pants are falling off me, I know I'm in good shape. Not in a movie set way, but you know. But I know I pay no attention to that stuff. I know if I don't feel comfortable on my feet, light on my feet, I know I've packed some pounds on somewhere. So someone might have, you know, physical goals of. Funny, we're talking about you today. Tim mentioned, like, you said, oh yeah, Brian benches 400 or whatever it is. You know, I got into all that stuff, and it was always about the numbers, and then I got bored of it. But that is a physical goal. You know, I'm going to do this. Or Tony, who we speak about, is training now for the Arnold Classic, which I don't know. I don't even play golf. I don't know what that is. But it's, you know, the physical ones. And a lot of people, as we were talking about this the other day, the biggest goal for people at this time of year is always, I want to lose weight. Okay, how much weight do you want to lose? A lot. Okay, how much is a lot? Is a lot 10 pounds or is a lot 300 pounds? I don't know your situation. I want to lose somewhere between 60 and 80 pounds. Okay, which one? Do you want to lose 60 or do you want to lose 80? Or do you want to lose 70? 70, right. Specific goals. Now, you know, Zig Ziglar talks about this, about having goals very specific. I'm doing it vague at the moment. This is going to come into part 2. But physical goals. This time of year, the main one is weight loss for everyone. Or I want to get in shape. Well, what defines shape? Well, I want to fit into a size, blah, blah, blah. Ah, okay. So getting in shape, you can relate to a size. You know, someone might look at me or you and think we're in terrible shape. And some other person might look at me or you and think we're in great shape. Yep. So it's what defines it, you know, and you'll have seen this, and I got it a lot today because of this 30-day thing, you know. There's a picture up there of Tony. Why are we giving Tony so many free plugs here? I don't know.
It's anyway. So funny. He just texted me.
Yeah? He said what?
He must talking about he just, hold on. I just got a text that says, going to blow your mind, exclamation point. I don't know what that means.
He did say mind at the end.
Yeah.
Just clarifying that bit, man, because he sent me a picture.
Tony, you mentioned something, and this, I just have to say this because it just, like, it won't leave my brain now, is that when you're setting these goals, it is so important to set goals for yourself that you can personally believe in, that you're motivated by. Because it's so funny, the fact that Tim said something about that I can bench 400 pounds. It's so funny when people ask me, which I don't know if it's just something with Tim, but Brennan asked me the same thing. And it's like, you know what's crazy is that I have never, ever had a goal to bench press any amount of weight ever. I've never actually even, as they call it, maxed out. Why? Because that's never, just so you know, it's never, ever been my goal to lift a certain amount of weight. Now, I'm not taking it away because there's power lifters out there. I got good friends that are power lifters, and they literally have a goal of lifting a certain amount of weight and combinate, and that's great. But I just wanted to say this because it's important, is that has never been my goal. And the fact that somebody else may put me in a category where they think a certain goal or say it's just not the case. And I think that's important because when you're setting goals, you got to set goals that motivate you, things that it's truly yours, and don't let somebody else's perception of a goal or whatever dissuade you or take you off track in any way, shape, or form. I've always had a goal, and I even have it here for my physical. I know exactly what my goal is, especially in this last year, having to change my fuel sources and what I believe about nutrition. My brain's been disrupted in the last year, and I got very specific physical goals for myself this year that I'm really excited about.
Does it involve mud pie?
Huh.
The last time
no, that's actually a goal detail. I got some incorporate some of those in there. Thank God for biohack. Thank God for biohacking when I can.
All right. Next time, even though I don't drive, next time I'm driving. Bear in mind, the guy.
You gotta have a good co-pilot, because without a co-pilot, the Jeep, I would have had to use the winch on the Jeep to just flip it back over.
And we nearly had to use the winch to get you out of the restaurant, man.
That's true. I bought my Jeep to be functional, okay? To be functional.
Okay. That's a good job, because we wouldn't have made it in anything else.
No, we wouldn't have. Oh, man.
Right. So, also the 400-pound thing, bearing in mind it was Tim Mulcahy, he does get carried away with himself when he's with me. So,
what's great is some people are actually going to get some good goal-setting training out of this. Other people are just going to be entertained. We're fulfilling the wishes of the people that had a goal for us to have a, what'd they say, have a talk show.
How many times do we get that?
Yep.
We should do it. We should do a Fear and Loathing show when we go to Vegas, man, along the way. I mean, the karaoke in the truck video that was random has been seen thousands of times. It's not even any good, It's Car Crash TV. Right, so the next one I want you to write down is mental goals. So mental goal is strictly learning. So, for example, and no, I'm not a guy that's in favor of the education system. I dropped out at 15. For me, I thought it was an entire waste of time. I still confess that. The whole thing with getting into debt and blah, 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 blah for a degree for a job that doesn't exist is just alien to me. But I love learning, and I'll go to a bookstore, and I'm dangerous in a bookstore because I travel light, and I can eat. I've done it in the past. I've gone into a Barnes & Noble and come out with shopping carts full of stuff. So I've got to be very careful. The other day, and this is learning, I bought a book, and I was reading this on the road trip. I've still not finished it. And I bought it because I got from another author. And what the book is really doesn't matter. And it says, how a daring band of misfits mastered the lost secrets of strength and endurance. Well, to me, I thought that's kind of interesting. And I glanced on the inside, and it's about, canyons of Mexico and Crete. And I thought, wow, I love traveling. I bet this is interesting. And it turns out this, doesn't matter, I'm not plugging the book, but this thing, it's right there right now. So for me, mental is just keep reading stuff. Languages. I immerse myself in languages. I lived in Spanish Harlem to be more fluent in Spanish, which apparently I am when I drink a lot.
You surprised me a few times, buddy. When we met with a few different times. So I was like, look at Tony.
I must have been drinking a lot.
Actually, you weren't drinking at all, so that's how I know you really must have been studying it.
Well, you know, here's something, and there's joking aside, there's a reality to that, and it applies specifically to this exercise. Is when, you know, when we're in a certain level of consciousness, a thinking level, we overthink. Is this the right word? Did I conjugate that correctly? Same with this. We can overthink this stuff and think how you can't do it and how it's not possible and blah, 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 blah. When we stop that and just go with the subconscious, and I know in the past, and you made fun of me on this one, by the way, you sent me a few things last year, and I'd look at a video and I said, no, the feel's off for me, if you recall that. And I'll look at something, and you know, you get them, I'm sure, and I get them, and I look at it, and you know, like, I'm not interested, and someone will send me something. As soon as I turn something on, and this is not a racist thing, but if it's a white guy in a suit and tie, I switch it off straight away. It's not a fit for me. I just feel it out. I don't overthink it. So when we go into like languages, immersion is the best way to learn, because we're not thinking, we're just hearing and we're absorbing it through all senses. Now, the same reason with this is to be wrote down with a marker, pen, and paper, not on a computer. So a computer, there's no emotional connection. As you're writing this stuff down, subconsciously, so I'm writing down emotional, is what I'm telling my brain. So there's a feel, there's a vision, it's coming through all the senses. So with this stuff, and I'm going all over the place at the moment, mental is learning different things. It could be languages, it could be...
Or it could just be the tech guy not liking to use tech. So just so you know, for people that are, you know, that are like me, I do have a feel of emotional connection when I write my goals down on my notes and I look. But anyways, that's a whole. I'm gonna come back to that. But
no, you know, on that one, I use notes for a lot of stuff, and I use it because maybe, well, not maybe, like yourself, we have this labeled as ADD thing. Labeled as ADD, I just call it an active mind. I'm thinking of what I'm doing next, and if I don't blurt it out, it's gone. So I use notes for that. I agree with that in the phone because that's a reference, but the initial time, write it down and then put it into your phone.
And it's some stuff like for me, I still can't. I bought my wife a Kindle, right? And I don't know what it is for me, but I cannot read an ebook. Like, I have to have a physical book in my hand, and I don't. For me, it is a connection. I can't. You know, it's like, but it's crazy because sometimes I can like read the Bible, like verses or whatever on my phone and certain things. But if I'm getting into like really studying it or whatever, I gotta have the physical book. So I know exactly what Tony's saying, and he's right. Like, this is something like when I write it, but then I convert it because I will tell you. One thing I did not mention, I was really saving it for the end, but the first time when I wake up in the morning, when my eyes open, I swear to you, the very first thing I do is I go and it was a little more convenient before because I used to sleep with my phone. One thing I did since I moved here is I actually remove it from my room altogether. If somebody dies in the night, they're still going to be dead in the morning when I wake up. So point being is that I do go to my phone with its now. It was for the last 6 months right beside my head, which probably necessarily wasn't a good thing, but I grab it and it's the first thing I do. Still, within the first 5 minutes of me waking, I go to this and I read my goals from start to finish. I have all my goals broken down, just like Tony's covering with you right here. And I have my 2015 goals. That's how it's labeled at the top, as you can see it there. Maybe not. And then I've got my lifelong goals. So what feeds into my 3-year and down the road. But the point is that it's the first thing I see every single day. And I was going to say this at the end, and I will reiterate it again, but it is magical. Like, it still scares me now to look at what I wrote down for 2015. And I would have told you January 1st of 2015, like the realistic me would have told you there ain't no way this is happening. But the faith me would have told you that absolutely believe it. And the power goal setting, I'm telling you, it's scary. It's something. When Tim shared his notes and brought stuff back to me that he had showed me that he wrote down, because he still had the piece of paper before he actually moved to La Jolla, about his house in La Jolla. It was so awesome. And that same thing, I couldn't relate to it right then and there because it never happened to me. But this, especially this year, the last 2 years, really, my goals have just, it's kind of like surreal. So sorry, Tony, for that little offshoot there.
I forgot to, what you're saying about reiterating, I actually thought the first thing you looked at when you woke up in the morning was the overnight pictures I sent you, but I guess they're not.
Actually, you know this because you were on the road trip with me. So when the first thing in the morning when I grab my phone, I don't necessarily know if I shared it with you, but literally before I do it, and it doesn't take me long. It takes me less than 60 seconds to read these. But the fact that I'm putting it in my brain every day and how that translates to actual action, and the law of attraction, and how it's just and here's the funny thing. So for most people, you're gonna get on this, and we're already, Tony's and I, our goal was we're gonna do a quick 30-minute training. The problem is that we've done training on this for so long that you could take days, literally days on this. And like I said, we're gonna keep this party going because it just starts with what Tony's covering with you right now. This is where it starts. There's advanced goal setting and different things that you can do that we would be on here for another 5 hours just to help you insight. Hopefully, most of you, this gets you started, because right now, if you didn't get anything else from this and you got a little scratch pad and you just wrote down some things that you wanted and you reviewed it every once in a while, what's funny is that's the first part of that's the first seed of making it happen, and let's start happening.
How do you do it in basketball or whatever game you follow?
Right. Timeout. That's right. That's right.
Right. Okay. So let's just wrap this. One thing on there, you said about going to your notes. When I was in that apartment, and I share a lot of my stuff publicly. When I was in that room in New York, every day I watched a video of California Dreaming, the song. Every day. You know, it's on my Facebook right now. I'll put the whole story about it. So mental. Then we're going to go to career. Now, you know, you and I are probably not typical career people. But there are some people that are watching this, and the career is, you know, I'm going to get to this level of management, or I'm going to be a supervisor, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to be a CEO, or whatever it is. You know, in 90 days, what can you do about your career? This is a whole other training session in itself, and we'll do this one about how you can just shift everything up a gear in a day. But it's not for now. But career is very straightforward. What are you going to do with your career in the next 90 days? Got to be emotionally attached to. You know, we run businesses. It's not a career, so it's a different type of goal. You know, after career, I'm going to go into some very specifics. If you have a business goal. But business could also be an investment. So if you have a job and you're putting some money aside, or you're saving something, or whatever it may be, your business might be, I'm going to own a rental property. But in the next 90 days, you're not going to own it. So in the next 90 days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at 3 oceanside apartments a week in Pacific Beach, for example, to rent out, not to live in. That's a different goal. It's a material one to rent out as an investment point of view. So, you know, businesses, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to own a business to have a business goal. Then the ones that people think are the main ones are actually not the main ones. Material goals. Now, this is a lot. You had the one of the Jeep. I remember, you know, before you got it, you showed me pictures of the Jeep and the Jeep and the Jeep. And yeah, absolutely. You know, 90-day one for me, even though I travel light, I kind of, you know, I'm in a situation in my life I'm not going to go into on here. It's personal. It's a good situation, good place. And I travel light and don't get tied down to anywhere. However, you know, I want to do a lot of road trips this year. They don't all have to be with you. Don't take it personal, buddy. I might have found someone else.
Oh, Tony.
Well, then
Don't leave me, Tony. Don't leave me.
okay, all right, it's a deal. But I kind of thought, you know, I just want a little base to come back to. So, you know, one here is a seafront apartment on the ocean. So even if I'm not there, it's just somewhere to a base. So that's a 90-day goal to sort it. I was looking at it when you called me before, looking at all the Zillow and all the rest of it. You know, when you told me, oh yeah, you get a place for $300 a month, dude. No, you don't, man. You know, they don't exist, dude.
It's you just have to go south a couple. You got to go south a couple miles, bro, and you're there. It's called Tijuana.
The only TJ I go to is the store downstairs for the rose, man. That's the only TJ I'm visiting. No, I'm not. Me and Tijuana, we met before and it didn't end well. Anyway, so material. So I'm fairly straightforward. Now, you know, this thing about me not driving is just, yeah, I've been in New York 5 years. Of course I can drive. I drove for years. I've had all the cars. I just choose not to drive. You know, material goals don't have to be anything big. They can be new hiking boots. Actually, how are my boots doing? Am I gifted? Well, they're still in one piece. Thanks, appreciate. Goal. Someone else jumped in my goal and sent them to me, which I appreciate, buddy. And you know, it doesn't have to be. What are you going to do in 90 days, material-wise? So if you say I'm going to, you know, blah blah blah, and I want a new car, that's not a goal. What sort of car? Do you want a Mini or do you want a Rolls-Royce Phantom? Well, I want a Rolls-Royce Phantom. All right. Let's be realistic here. Okay, you can break it down. You know, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to buy a lot of lottery tickets. That's not a goal. That's a wish. It's, you know. So material stuff doesn't have to be anything massive. It could just be, I'm going to go and buy a new book this weekend. Doesn't have to be, these goals don't have to be big. But, you know, I've seen something, or, you know, I have a list of books that people recommend to me, but because I travel light, I won't buy them all. So when I finish this book, I'll gift it to someone and go buy another one. So these are my little goals, things like that. The apartment one is, you know, you tricked me to get me here. And I don't want to, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah,
buddy.
I did. I really did. Because I knew unless you were going to live with 4 or 5 other people that wasn't going to happen. But what's cool is you're there now and you'll figure it out. So that's exciting.
Maybe that was karma for the 3 to humor, man, and the bad bladder. Okay, yeah, it's $300, buddy. Let me go on the beach. Okay, I'm flying to San Diego.
That was knowing that you were never going to be there. So, you know, I figured it. All good.
Yeah, karma is coming, man. What's the thing in Tombstone? The hell's coming with me. We're going to Vegas. So material, financial. So over 90 days financial. It could be, what am I going to put in a fund? What am I going to invest? What am I going to be earning? Now, let's be realistic here. If you're working a regular job, you're probably going to be earning the same or maybe a little bit more, or you may get a promotion. So, you know, if you're working a job that pays you $100,000 a year, there's no point telling yourself you're going to have $100,000 a month within 90 days. You know, goals are not just like, let's see who's got the biggest goal. Let's see who's got the biggest goal. I'm going to have 10 million shares in Facebook. No, that didn't work, man. No one got any. Zuckerberg got none given out. But, you know, certain things. So, you know, I've got one. And ours are...
Really? He's delivering my magic unicorn this week.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it the rainbow one, at least?
It is.
Oh, that probably goes with your sexual orientation, man. That'll suit you.
Buddy.
You know, we couldn't get through the whole thing without me saying something stupid. So, you know, financial. So, you know, mine are, you know, the ones I want to share, you know, the volunteer, the homeless thing. These are mine. These are not anyone else's, okay? Can't have other people. So they're just ideas. Then from there, I have a 1-year set on every category as well. But again, very Very rough. The first one of mine, I'm a fairly emotionless guy on most things. One of my 1 year is, I'll read it off, let my emotions show and grow into relationships. Next one. So, I have a certain skill set that apparently I'm okay at. And, one thing I feel a lot about is abused women, battered women. So, it's instruct my Krav Maga at battered wife centers, but it lies into the next one. So my social on the year is visit every state. I'm coming to Alaska, baby.
Oh yeah, baby. I got your. I can't move my whole computer up there, but your guest suite is literally, it's waiting, and it's pretty. It's pretty BA.
Yeah. Is it soundproof?
No.
I'm asking for a friend.
You're even loud by yourself. So,
we're supposed to be. What happens in the hotel bathroom?
I know how to give in the walk around, but I'm gonna do that here in a couple days. I'm gonna do a full little tour walk around. You'll see it. See where you stay. You'll see your guest suite soon enough.
Cool. Does it have the mirrored ceiling, buddy, and the peepholes?
It's got a big picture window, so the bears and the moose can see you.
Okay. Well, that's important.
I'm going to give you the full nature experience.
Okay, well, they'll get it, man. They'll get the full pleasure. The bears and. So listen, the final one, which I've not done yet, now it's a 3-year one. So it's 90-day, 1 year, 3 year. The reason I've not done it is I've been working on these things in different bits of paper, and I'm working now. Now I've got San Diego Home and Garden, Dream Homes International. I'm looking at this, that, and the other, and all kinds of stuff. And the 3-year ones will change. So at one point in my life, I wanted nothing more than a Bentley Turbo, and I got one, and I just thought it was like, okay, I've done that. It wasn't fulfilling enough. So as life changes, so do our goals. It's not I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to buy a bigger house, and I'm going to buy a bigger house. And you get to a bigger house, and all of a sudden you might start thinking, you know what, I need somewhere that's easier to clean as your life changes. So we want to wrap this now because of the time frame. And we'll do more of these. So again, to cap: emotional, spiritual, social, family, physical, mental, career, what was the other one? Business, financial, material, something like that. I might have got the numbers. There's 10 of them there. Write them down on a marker pen or a piece of paper, not on your computer. Put them on your computer or your phone later. Become emotionally attached to them. 90-day. What are you going to do 90-day on those? What are you going to do 1 year on those? And what are you going to do 3 years on those? Do it in that order, not the other way around. If you start with 3 years and go backwards, it won't work. You'll never figure out how to do it, and your belief system will be off. Because you'll think, well, if I'm going to have $1 million in the bank in 3 years, that means I've got to have X amount in 90 days. How am I going to get X amount in 90 days? I can't do that. I need to change my 3-year one. It goes back to the front. So you start with the small ones first and build up from there.
Momentum, baby. Momentum will take you to places that you don't believe you can achieve, but that momentum starts with 1 going to 2, 2 going to 4, 4 going to 8, and then it just goes from there. But it's crazy, but you have to. I mean, you go on right now online, you type in goal setting, and it tells you to set goals that are realistic, that are obtainable, they've got little acronyms and things that you can follow, and that's just real basic stuff. But breaking it down this way so that you don't miss anything, or you don't prioritize anything. And for most of you, you're going to rank these things and they'll follow into your priorities. But
what I've learned over life is the material ones and the financial ones, even though day-to-day life, they're probably, you got to eat and you got to do the rest of it. I found the fulfilling ones, the ones I can come up with easiest. The ones I always struggle with is the material ones, always. Yeah, I can't really think of a lot of stuff I want, which might sound
It's
odd.
true. No, and
I've got no emotion to it.
this I never thought I would get to this point, and honestly, I just was like, what even? The reason that I opened up this training this way was to hopefully get somebody to hook somebody into watching this, to realize that, you know, I was saying that, hey, if you're on here and you need to be, you need to, you know, I feel like I need to qualify Tony and I to financially, because some people, that was my hook. I mean, that's what got me into goal setting. As soon as I started goal setting, I realized financial was like, you know, trust me, I'm the first one to tell you I believe in abundance, but my application of abundance is very minimalistic, and I know that's weird for some people. But you get around guys like the guy that taught me all this stuff, a lot of this stuff, Tim. He's very, I mean, he's got very high financial goals, and it's as your belief and self-worth. It's crazy. You got Tony Robbins does one of the best trainings on this ever about how your entire system moves through 4 different boxes. Actually, I'll train on that. I'm gonna leave that as a little hook for later on.
Let's wrap this up. So from sunny San Diego, if you want to reach out to me, Tony Cohen on Facebook. I'm usually always on top on Facebook, that is. Or if you can't find me there, The Real Tony Cohen on Facebook. I'm on there. Same on Twitter, I think, Real Tony Cohen, and whatever the other, Instagram, The Real Tony Cohen, whatever. Reach out. If you want help, just inbox me. I'll chat with you. I won't charge you.
And for those that we actually made this training for, because this was directed to a very specific group of people, but as many of you saw, we didn't, Tony, I don't think we mentioned really, maybe skim the surface slightly on what we do and how we do it, because like I said at the beginning, success is universal. Goal setting, it applies to every area of your life. But I will tell you, the very shallow thought process out there in the marketplace, many of you that are associated with Tony and I in business, there's going to be people out there and their priorities are going to revolve around 2 things. Number 1, how they look, and number 2, what's in their bank account. So I will tell you that it's been this ranking has been this way for a very long time. Most people that you know in your network, their number 1 goal is going to be healthier, because they believe that they can do it, because they see how fast results can take place. I mean, if you put together good nutrition and a little bit of exercise, it's not going to take you years to have results. You can have results in days. I got a couple guys that I'm working with right now that they're blowing their own mind just in the last 30 days. But the point is that people believe they can do it. So therefore, the number 1 goal that they're going to have is going to be, it's going to be that physical. It's going to be, they're going to want to get on a diet and lose weight, or get shredded, or get some muscles, or get some gains, whatever. But that's going to be number 1. Number 2, okay, is going to be, they're going to want to be better financially. And I like to say they want their lifestyle to be better. And that lifestyle is directly related to the amount of money they make and how they make that money. And that's, you know, that's going to be number 2. And then number 3, and most people aren't going to write this down, but they are subconsciously going to be searching for a group of people, an association of a person or people, plural, that will keep them accountable to number 1 and number 2. Because ultimately, when you have someone to be accountable to, and I will tell you that Tony right now is keeping me accountable. I know this is crazy, but just by me doing this with Tony, it's keeping me accountable, because I saw his goals written down and I saw certain things that he's doing, and it's really going to keep me accountable to mine, just because we did this together and we're doing it publicly. So, man, I'm really screwed if I don't. I'd be very unauthentic if I don't follow through with this stuff. So, point being is that you're in an incredible position. Why? Because most people, they're not going to watch this training. They're not going to. They haven't read the books we've read. They haven't had the external influences in their life to break these down and commit to them. But they will be focused on, in the next 24 hours, once 24 hours elapses, people are going to be focused on 2 things. 1, their body. 2, their money. and 3, they're looking for somebody to keep them accountable to those 2 things. So you have that ability to fulfill 1 and 2. And then what's great, when you help them fulfill those, we'll lead them into, you can share this training with them, and they'll go down the rabbit hole and realize what Tony and I realized, that that rabbit hole goes a lot deeper, and that your foundation, if you build it off these other things, man, you're going to have an incredible 2016. I would say much more than 10 times what 2015 was. So with that, peace out from the circus, which is the Brian James. You never know. I haven't seen Tony's goals yet for career, but he may start having a career in talk show or whatever we decide to do. So you never know. All right.
All right.
All right, everyone. Have a great day, night. And hey, 24 hour from the time you watch this, 2015 will not be over. And hey, if you don't watch this until the first week in 2016, it still works. So, Tony, have a good night, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right.
See you on the dark side.
See you then.